Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner. I'm doing the astrology for July 2016. Is everybody getting a little bit exhausted from all of this? The first thing I want to say is I apologize that I'm slightly late. I started this a while ago and then got bogged down in a whole bunch of things at my office, and then I suddenly recognized, oh my gosh, I got to get this finished. So I'm part into the month at this point, but I hope that you enjoy the astrology for July 2016. So here we are in July, and let's just say that during the month of Cancer with Neptune in Pisces, there is a tremendous amount of water happening, and there are many of you out there who are feeling as if the emotions that have been happening are giving you the bends, literally. You might feel discombobulated, out of sorts with all the intensity, and that intensity is stirring up the deep sands in your ocean and bringing things to light that have been buried for a long time. That is not always pleasant. And yet within that revelation, there can be some treasures that emerge if you are willing to look past the story of the wreckage for moments in your life and instead choose to shift those sands to reveal the things that you have forgotten and that also lay buried in your past. We are in the month where we move from a lunar moon-based sign, which is Cancer, to a solar sun-based sign, which is Leo. Whenever you do that extreme of polarity, you can expect a lot to happen in a short period of time. Just as fruits ripen quickly in the intense heat of this time of the year, you too can ripen to your full potential if you are willing to do the work and to get up in that tree to pick that fruit when it is at its ripest. If you get lazy and are not willing to do the work, the hesitancy will cause you to lose the moment, and that which could be relished in its sweetness will rot, and you will be not able to enjoy the fruits and bounty that the universe offered. In the area of major transits, which is where the big planets are moving, there is not a lot going on, but in the area of aspects, the energies that happen in that area there's actually quite a lot happening. The aspects tend to be sort of smaller and faster, but sometimes when you get a whole bunch of things coming together quickly, you can actually have quite a big explosive sort of event. This can be somewhat confusing as we sometimes associate with the big planets moving as having a greater impact. And while that is true, again, you can have so much small stuff happening that you can have almost a more radical shift that you will feel more personally and as if you are less in control. And you will also have a harder time predicting what might happen next. Now, some astrologers will see this as being an easier month, and August, which has a lot of major transits happening, to be a more intense month. And while at the height of the summer, August, which is the dog days of summer, is notorious for its intensity, I believe that this month has more impact than the astrology obviously shows. Venus and Mercury are entering Leo, and that brings fun, playful, exciting flow of connection and communication to your life if you are willing to navigate the wild waters of Neptune's illusions. It is also a recommendation to not take things so seriously, but I'm afraid that this potential will not be recognized as the planet Neptune is the second largest planet in the solar system, and its gravitational pull and impact on Earth right now is stronger than anyone in memory has experienced. After all, the last time Neptune was in Pisces was about 165 years ago, or so much, sort of like that. I believe that the level of our self-delusion is so deep and it has been so blindly numbing to our soul that bringing your awareness out of the illusion and into the true light of the reality could be very difficult this month. And there will be those that take the fiery expression of Venus and Mercury and Leo the wrong direction and lash out with all that fixed fire energy, as they will feel as if they are fixed right and certain of their position. But what Neptune is teaching all of us is that nothing that we have perceived is accurate. We have been deeply asleep for a long time, and waking up after you have been under anesthesia is difficult and discombobulating, to say the least. The Sun, with its best friends Venus and Mercury in Leo, is a bit of an overload in the Leo reality. And after all, I'm a Leo, and I believe that there can be too much of a good thing. So when there is just so much fire, the tendency to explode and overreact in a self-righteous way also increases. I find it is essential right now to keep that fire in check with the compassionate attitude of Neptune, if at all possible. We have a full moon in Capricorn on July 19th, and this is the second one we are having. We had another one at the end of June where it was technically in Sagittarius, but it was all the way at the edge, and I say that when something is close to the edge, it bleeds a little bit both ways. And it did go into Capricorn for 2.5 of those days. So there will be a bit of a test to see whether you control your life in a way where you don't allow your emotions to take over, but that you also don't get locked down into a self-righteous position. On July 29th, Uranus goes retrograde, and that will unfortunately magnify the impact of Uranus rather than diminish it. That kind of alarms me, as with the Sun and its best buddies, Mercury and Venus, all dancing in the fire of power and pushing that potential out into the world. But they don't understand that Neptune is actually pushing the illusions to the surface for you to see also. It could be a little problematic. When you do that, I want you, when you do that, thinking that you are correct, right, and awesome, you are going to take some big hits rather than see that everyone is going to go into agreement with you. Yes, the Sun is bigger than Neptune, but the force of Neptune is bigger than any of the other planets besides Jupiter. So you may not notice in your expansion and desire to express that you are actually showing your distortion and delusions in a powerful way for all to see. It might be a real shock when you take that leap feeling that you are safe in your assumptions, and instead of acceptance, you will get the explosiveness and fire of revolution instead. This is like taking an oil fire, Sun, Venus, and Mercury, and putting a bit of water, Neptune, on it. You know what happens. The oil explodes and the fire goes everywhere. I'm nervous about that potential and how that might express itself this month. We have talked about 5 planets being retrograde a while back. Now there are 3 planets retrograde, but with this Uranus going retrograde at the end of the month, we go back to 4 planets again. 5 planets retrograde is very explosive also, and you remember the intensity of April, May, June clearly, I am sure. So instead of continuing the diminishing aspect of planets going out of retrograde, we are again stepping towards a bigger explosion. If you add the energy of Chiron, an asteroid being in retrograde from June 27th through November 30th in Pisces into the mix, that adds one more planet and a volatile one on top of it in an emotional water house. So yes, I see that there is a healing potential for Chiron to be there in our emotional distortion Pisces wave. But again, the healing may only happen after an explosion of emotion. July 7th is going to be a big day. There are a lot of aspects that are like putting the fuse in a box of dynamite for it to explode. The Sun is going to conjunct Mercury. Mercury is in opposition to Pluto. Venus squares Uranus, and the Sun opposes Pluto. This causes a breakdown of the ego. The levels of transformation that are needed to get this going are huge and unpleasant. July 11th is another big day. Mercury is going to trine Mars. Mercury is going to square Uranus, making news a very big deal, and huge stories are going to come out of this pattern. Again, expect to be upset and do your best not to get caught in the conflicting energy that is explosive and that others may get caught up in a revolutionary mentality. Just remember, in all revolutions, innocents die. In all revolutions, social structures break down. In all revolutions, more suffering happens than less. It will take many calm and cool heads to be able to navigate this intense energy. My hope is that on July 12th, when Mercury and Venus enter Leo, that the overview and creative potential that is also Leo will give us a new way of seeing things and bring some solutions to the problems presenting. On July 19th, there is a full moon at the end of the time of Cancer, which is going to be a major mood test. However, the full moon is in Capricorn, and this energy pattern acts like a dampener on the positive potential that is trying to happen. Then on July 29th, 30th, the Uranus retrograde and Mercury enters Virgo. So at the very end of the month, the energy will actually get more intense. That again is a bit of it is a bit alarming to me, as the beginning was a pretty wild ride emotionally. So each of you need to brace yourself and discipline the mind around your emotional expression for what is up and coming at the end of the month. What does this all mean to you? It's okay to express what you feel, but do not let your temper control your mouth. Practice feeling what you are feeling and then also feeling what others are feeling at the same time might be a new experience, but one that you are going to need to practice, because this Neptune in Pisces is going to be teaching us about our emotions and the proper expression of them until 2028. Yes, I did say 2028. So take a breath on that. Neptune is a creative planet. Leo is a creative sign. And at the end of the month, those have the potential to join up and work together in ways that can serve the greater good. But not if not if you are all bottled up and stuffing old crap in your body. You have to move it to loosen the grip of dense emotions and allow them to flow in ways that are organic and in alignment with your higher purpose. Most people don't feel for years at a time, so when those emotions finally flow, they explode, and unfortunately, that is a negative potential of this month. I would love to minimize that if you can with this knowledge and the words that I've been speaking. You cannot be creative if you do not know what you feel. I take this back to when I was a dancer. If you are asked to be a character, but you have not tapped into that inner archetype within you, then accessing that character can be quite traumatic. I remember doing Caraboss and recognizing that the director wanted a nasty, twisted, mean, slightly demented hag, and I wanted to do an evil but elegant character. The shift to do what he wanted rather than what I wanted was traumatic. I did not see myself as a hag. I had to reach deep in to discover my ugliest self and then express that on stage. It worked, and I learned to love my darkest and most demented self. It was a great lesson in embracing the truth of what is, who you are, and what you really feel, and love it regardless. This month is going to be just like that for each of you. With all this water and all the tides of change moving in and out of your life, you will have no choice but to go with the flow that is presenting. This is a month I want to call the Riptide month. Repeatedly, you will find yourself caught in a powerful emotional wave that is pulling you out into dark and dangerous territory. If you panic, you may drown in your own emotional turmoil. If you relax and let the wave take you out, it will spit you out at some point and you will be able to swim back to the shore safely. Fighting the flow will only exhaust you and get you nowhere. Observe your fear and trust the flow. Learn to not fight when the universe has all the control. All the control you thought you had was an illusion anyway. By the end of this month, you will know that as a certainty. This is a month to purge out the old and clear space for the new. Will you let it? Or will you fight to the point of exhaustion to make others see your viewpoint? The choice is going to be yours. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support. Have a wonderful month.